All right, well, welcome back. It's late August, almost September, and have another set of reviews.
That's right.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Don.
This is my dad, and this is Dad's book reviews. So I figured he reads a lot, and I like to just cherry pick off the top. So
Okay.
how many reviews we have this time?
We have 5 reviews this time.
And out of curiosity, out of how many books was that read?
Oh, there were probably 15.
Okay.
There were a bunch that just didn't live up to the hype.
Okay.
They had really good star ratings, but they just weren't that good. The story was interesting, but they don't develop the characters. You don't get to know the character well enough that you care what happens to him.
Okay. Oh, he died. That's too bad.
The next book we're going to review is Mother of Learning. And I can't say this guy's name. The author is Domagoj Kurmaic. I have no idea how you would say that. But anyway, that's his name.
And I would just put my 2 cents at the first. He read this book a while ago, and so I was looking through his books that he'd read and pulled this one off, and I really liked it. So this is coming with a high recommendation from me, and you read it again,
Right.
and it was worth reading again.
I read the series again. It was worth it.
It's a fun series.
Yeah, it's a fun series. It's a fantasy time loop series. And there are 4 books in it, and it's finished. So 4 books and you're done. The books have about 644 pages. Zorian Kaczynski is the protagonist in the book. He's a young man, I think 13 or 14, as I remember. He's a teenage mage of humble birth, slightly above average skills. He has a family that he doesn't like very much, and he is actively trying to rid his life of their influence. It's because his parents seem to like his brothers more than they like him, and they seem to dump on him a little bit too much. He gets along with his little sister, but just barely. He wants to chart his own future without his family's influence. He finds that he's in a time loop and he's going to be living the same month over and over and over again. But he carries what advantage he gains in that month into the time loop because it's knowledge. He carries it with him into the next thing. But most of the people around him are not carrying that knowledge with them. So he gets better and better and better every time he goes through it, and the people around him are not doing that. On the eve of Sioria's summer festival, he's murdered. And that's when we find out it's a time loop. And he's abruptly brought back to the beginning of the month. He has to unravel the mystery that's in front of him because the time loop clearly was not set up for him. It's not meant to advantage him. It's meant to advantage someone else, and he doesn't know who. And he has to find out who and figure out how he gets out of the time loop with all of the knowledge that he's picked up.
And not get murdered.
And not get murdered. But even a time traveler isn't safe from some people who wish him ill and have magic and can stop that. So he has opposition that he has to avoid at all costs. This is a slow start. I remember when you started reading it, you says, "Does this ever get interesting?" It takes a few chapters.
I think he said, make sure he dies first.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Wait until he dies and then decide if it's good. And you have to do that. You have to give it a few chapters to set up the premise, and then it gets really interesting. I love the inventive ways that Zorian goes about coming up with to try and solve the problem of the time loop and find out why he's in it and how he gets out of it and who's doing it and all those other things. He's a good kid dumped into an insurmountable problem, but he just keeps chugging along, figuring out one thing after another as he goes over and over through this month in his life. And it was a really good book. I enjoyed it. I gave it a 10. It was excellent.
And I would give it a 10 as well. It was a very high recommendation.
light use of mild profanity, no offensive sexuality, high violence, violent instances of high intensity, and rated for teens.
Yeah. Almost makes me want to read it again too, but it's been too soon. So I got to wait a few years.
You got to wait a few years before you do it again.
Once I've forgotten some of the details. Well, hopefully you enjoyed what we had.
Yes, I think you'll enjoy some of these books. Take a look and let us know what you think.
Yeah.